let's jump right into the mock draft.
Yeah,
then,
let's
because
do it.
that's kind of where it has to start. Obviously, number one, you're gonna have the Bears take Caleb Williams because the Bears are taking Caleb Williams. Like, what do you want us to say?
Damn, 1 for 1.
Yep.
Bam.
Everybody gets one this year.
Yeah, everybody gets one this year. You're right. Yeah, I mean, come on, we know this is done. It's in the books. He's extremely talented. You know, I love him. I don't see too many flaws with him. And I think when you just look at Chicago, and of course, I just, go back to the GM and the fact that he came from Kansas City before he came the GM. He's seeing this guy who's got some of those Mahomes-ish type of traits, right? It's a no-brainer. So Caleb Williams, Chicago Bears, I'm really excited to see that. And of course, I think the Bears, even without Caleb Williams, we're a team that I would have said, watch out for this year. The D is real, right? We've talked about this on some past podcasts, the way they played at the end of the year. Offense has got some potential too. With Keenan Allen, the O-line, I think, is better than people realize. The tight end, Cole Kmet's pretty freaking big time. So they got something working there in Chicago. I'm excited for what it could look like with Caleb Williams.
And we'll get to their 9th overall pick. That's only going to make the team that much better.
Yeah.
So number 2, the Commanders.
I'm interested to hear your thought on what I do at 9 there.
Yeah. Number 2, the Commanders. You have them going Jaden Daniels.
I do. I have enough info for where, like you just discussed, it's not like don't pick me, right? There's obviously a little friction there, and yeah, sure, he wants to go with an old friend and Antonio Pierce, but he's still willing to go. Yeah, and hey, you go to a place like Washington again. I look at that as a place where I know we all question what's going on in the organization right now, right? But like as a quarterback, that to me is the place where like a Mahomes to Kansas City, or even a Burrow to the Bengals, or even like C.J. Stroud to Houston. It's like they haven't had one in a while, or they've never had one that's been like the guy for a long time. You can be that guy there, and then they have some talent at receiver, right? That to me should be encouraging to Jaden Daniels from that standpoint. That'd be a situation, wow, storied franchise. They've never really had that big-time guy, right? They went to the Super Bowl and won, 3 Super Bowls with 3 different damn quarterbacks in the 80s, right? So they're a little different that way. Here's the thing to me, when I've been saying this, because it feels like if they didn't do Jaden Daniels, they would do Drake May, right? That's what it feels like. And again,
I agree.
I have no inside info. But as I was talking about this on the show today at PFT, we were talking about the Jaden Daniels, Drake May, Washington conundrum, right? I had somebody that I really trust connected to the situation who texted me and said, it will not be Drake May at 2. Okay, so that was like the first time I had heard anything stone cold from somebody I trust about Washington in the quarterback situation. All right, and that was the text I get. Right, it will not be Drake May at number 2. So that means, okay, if it's not Jaden Daniels, there's somebody else they like or some other plan or whatever else they're going to do. But either way, I think at the end of the day, even with this little discontent or whatever else is out there, Jaden Daniels is too talented, right? And it wouldn't be the first time ever a guy wasn't like, hey, I'm not sure if I want to go there. There's other place, but it all works out in the end anyways. And you can't let the player kind of hold the team hostage. I expect them to take him.
What do you think of the fit with Jaden and Cliff Kingsbury?
I mean, I don't see anything that's glaring to me.
Right.
The thing I like about Jaden is he's got a quick, compact motion. If he's in the shotgun and got to get some of those quicker spread-type throws out, I think he's very capable of that, right? Cliff's usually pretty good at, one of the beauties about him with Arizona and Kyler Murray is, hey, they spread you out. Hey, okay, he picks you apart. He makes a few throws, whatever, but they spread you out too, and then you got a quarterback that runs, and you're like, shit, we got to worry about these pass concepts, and they're spreading us all over the field. Now they got lanes for a guy that's a super freak when it comes to running the football to open it up, and I kind of like that aspect.
All right, so number 3, this is where the fun
gets crazy.
This is where it gets crazy. What did you do at number 3?
Number 3, I had now the Vikings making the trade with the New England Patriots, right? I not that I know this either, but from people, again, around the league and whatever else, I think New England wants to trade out of there. New England wants to has to take a quarterback, though, right? That's the biggest thing. That right now, again, they got Bailey Zappi and Jacoby Brissett. I mean, they're going to take something here. But I don't think they are comfortable with taking any of these guys at number 3. I think Minnesota's desperate. They're going to get somebody in there that they feel like can run their offense and be the future for Kevin O'Connell. I have no inside info on J.J. McCarthy here. Of course, Drake May is a interesting one here too because of the Josh McCown connection, right? And him coaching Drake May back in high school and that relationship. So I don't know if I'm right here, but I certainly think J.J. McCarthy fits Kevin O'Connell's offense, right? Underneath center, JJ's going to be very comfortable with that. Play action game, crossers over the middle, all that stuff. That's what JJ did in Michigan. So I'm kind of going off of that system fit, guy I like, and, there's that. But the Drake May thing certainly went into my thinking here as well of going, wait, maybe would they go Drake May here? Do they feel like, hey, we got Sam Darnold and this is great for Drake May. He can sit for a year and we can work with them and maybe we have something after that, right? But at the end of the day, I think I'm going with what. Here's what did it for me. I didn't know, as I'm explaining here. Kevin O'Connell's faith press conference he had at the church over the weekend when he talked about, I think I could fix a lower part of a quarterback. I don't know if I can fix the upper part of the quarterback. And to me, Drake May's got both of those problems, right? There's lower body problems and upper body problems, right? So I know some took it that like as, Kevin O'Connell thinks he can fix Drake May. I took it as, I heard the part where he says, there might be things I could have him for 15 years and I can't fix them. And that to me was what made my ears go. And I went, that sounds like that's Drake May. So that's kind of what led me to J.J. McCarthy. Again, though, there's no inside info here for this one.
Let me throw a wild card at you because it's so interesting hearing you talk about the fits with O'Connell because I think this is everybody's favorite landing spot for a rookie quarterback, like universal, like across the board.
Sure.
What do you think about the fit with Penix to Minnesota? And they wouldn't have to trade to 3. I'll make that very clear to get him. Like, what do you think of that kind of fit over there? I think they like him too. I don't know how much, like going up to 3, I don't believe, but I think they like him a lot.
I think in our traditional sense, listen, I don't think J.J. McCarthy, Penix, or Bo Nix are worth the 3rd pick of the draft, right? But if you like a guy and you want him and we believe in him, go, sure. I think Penix would fit that.
Yeah, me too.
I mean, again, Penix maybe not quite as good at hopping around the pocket and doing stuff like that. Yeah, there's going to be a little bit of, hey, let's get him used to underneath the center and getting away from the line of scrimmage with all that because he's been in the shotgun and all that. But for O'Connell, whose offense is 115 and 20 and 25-yard throw after another, how could you not like Michael Penix's fit in that, right? So that would make sense to me.
All right, so we'll get to more of the New England side when we go to pick 11.
Yep, we'll do that.
We'll keep this moving. The Cardinals at 4 go very chalk. Marvin Harrison Jr. This seems like the favorite to happen.
Yeah.
And it's kind of hard to argue against
It does. Now, as I've said here on the podcast, I actually, and I've checked with other people that I know that are in our business, and I've said, do you know anybody that has Marvin Harrison Jr. as their number 1 receiver? I don't. Now, I don't know all 32 teams, but I don't know anybody in my friend world that has him as number 1. Now, this is one, though. I could see one safe pick, name. We got to have it work, right? It's a big pick for us and our organization. They can sell him as the Larry Fitzgerald of the future, right? There's all of that. I think the floor is very high with Marvin Harrison Jr. There's been some talk about a little bit of a off-the-field thing with Malik Neighbors to a degree.
Lightly, yeah.
Right? So I think to that's why I go Marvin Harrison Jr. That just kind of what I feel through the grapevine and trusting some people that have a little feel for Arizona as well.
It is funny, though, when you look at Michael Wilson on that team, it feels like Neighbors actually complements what the offense needs even more. And I love Marvin Harrison Jr.
Yeah.
But, like, to your point, Neighbors is absolutely what that offense doesn't have in any capacity.
I know.
Like explosive with and without the football.
Yeah, I know.
So I guess it shouldn't be shocking to see if Arizona went.
No, and I think that's another part where I look at it and go, ooh, things could get interesting if they go Neighbors there. And then I go, that could shake some things up for sure. Right? That could shake up, again, I think it could shake up number 5 all of a sudden. They go, wait, now Neighbors is on the board or not on the board or whatever. Or this guy, I mean, there's just a lot of things there that go into the play here. But safe pick, good pedigree. He's got all the skills. He's a damn good player. Again, I know he's not my number one receiver. I got that, but he's damn good. And I'm kind of feeling that right there with number 4.
So 5, the Chargers, you do have them taking Joe Alt, a tackle, who would probably flip over to the right side in this situation.
Right, I guess
It'd be interesting how they handle that. But you're buying in the Harbaugh way of let's build it all in the trenches right now.
I think so. Again, now I could see them maybe being in a trade down. I've had a few people tell me, like, hey, you sure they won't take J.C. Latham? This is Harbaugh and Roman. They might believe in the big mauler, right? Latham did play right tackle.
He's a right tackle.
Right? So I've had that thought out there. But again, I'm also a little bit like, hey, it's their first pick. It's their first draft. Man, Notre Dame tackle, like you can't be wrong with it a little bit. It's a safe pick. Alt is definitely one of the safest picks of the draft. That's where I kind of went that way, right? And again, I don't think any of these guys, Alt, Latham, really any of the top tackles, if they had to play left or right, I don't think it's going to be a big adjustment for any of them.
It's funny, too, because Latham is what like every Ravens right tackle has been, where Joe Ortiz comes from.
Right.
So there is rationale to think like they could do it.
Exactly.
Like there is and I mean, Harbaugh has coached against Latham enough where he knows what he'd be getting.
Greg Roman seems like a little bit of a believer in that big mauler type of ex-Baltimore Raven type of O-lineman, right? Or the lineman he had with Harbaugh and the 49ers the first time around, which was those type of people. So I know that was my decision there. It was trenches all the way.
Yep.
I know some people put them as receiver. I look at it and go, that doesn't seem like a Harbaugh or the GM type of move from their history and what they believe as a team, right? And then my other thought too is like, if you want to get an O-lineman, you got to get him there, right? I think you're better off doing the lineman here and then doing the receiver in the second
37th overall pick.
Then
That's
the other
early.
way around,
yes.
Exactly right. And then having a lineman that you're like, well, hey, he's good, but he's not even in the same stratosphere as the guys we were talking about taking at number 5.
So the Giants at 6, this is one of my favorite fits in the draft. Yeah. You have them taking Malik Neighbors. They haven't had a threat like this since Odell Beckham.
To me, it's the most glaring thing on their team. You're just like, first off, offensive guy that can make plays. Who is that? I know Jalen Hyatt can run, and we got that. Darius Slayton can do that too. I get it. So we got some people that get some heat to go down the field, but I don't necessarily think those are guys who, like, kind of what you were talking about a minute ago with Neighbors in Arizona. They don't have a guy who can run like a fake shallow cross, come out, catch the ball, make somebody miss, and now get up the field for another 30 yards. That's where you just said Odell Beckham Jr. That's different. Those other guys we just talked about are kind of straight line speed guys. They're not going to be quite as good running over the middle, the intricate routes, breaking tackles, making things happen after the catch. I think Neighbors all the way here, and that would be awesome for the Giants to add him to the Daniel Jones tool set.
7, the Titans. Now you have J.C. Latham come off the board here. The Titans could take a tackle for either side.
Yeah, right. Again, I almost feel like it's whatever one's left over, whoever the Chargers don't take, right? This is what they'll go with. But it's young quarterback. Right, the Callahans. They believe in offensive line. Their offensive line's been decimated the last few years. I mean, ever since they had the AFC Championship game with Derrick Henry and Ryan Tannehill in 2019. It's slowly taken a hit every year, whether it's injuries, missed draft picks, letting Jack Conklin go in free agency. They've had it all. Taylor Lewan retiring, right? So I think it's a thing that needs to be addressed by them in a big way.
The one thing that surprised me, and we'll talk about this with the Falcons too, I've heard the Titans are a sneaky trade-out option if somebody actually had a reason to come into 7.
I wouldn't be shocked.
Yeah.
I mean, Callahan's probably very confident that, like, hey, if we don't go too far down, I can still find us a really good tackle or lineman that I think fits our football team, and I think as long as you don't, leave, as long as you don't go past 20, I feel like you're guaranteed to get somebody pretty damn good, right? And that's where maybe they would feel comfortable about that.
8, the Falcons. You have them staying put. Another team that's definitely open to answering the phone, but they go with Dallas Turner, which, when you look at the fit with Raheem Morris, it makes so much sense because Turner could do a lot of different things.
He can, and it's a need on their football team. It's like the number one thing you look at to go, they need something at that position. There's no game-changing presence there, right? I did think about corner here. I'm not going to lie. I thought about it.
Quinyon?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Quinyon Mitchell, Dallas Turner, Byron Murphy, and Latu, to me, are the 4 best defensive players in the draft, right? And I think that, yes. I mean, a guy like Quinyon Mitchell, I think, is in a class of his own at corner right there. So, I thought about it. I was like, man, maybe the Falcons would go corner here. But I think all in all, it makes sense for the reasons you said. And Dallas Turner's got some traits about him that are very, very special. And another guy that I would say could be a superstar, but I still think has a very high floor, too. I don't look at him going, oh, he's going to be a bust or anything like that, right? He might not be what we think he might be, but I don't think it's going to be bust is going to be part of this conversation.
He's just so gifted with the length, the speed, the explosive nature.
Right. Like he doesn't get 15 sacks a year. He gets 7, but he's still your starting outside linebacker for a long, long time. Yo, homies, what's up? I know it's the offseason, but it's never the offseason on Chris Simms Unbuttoned. Me and Ahmed Fareed are going to be here for it all. We got free agency. We're going to break it all down. The draft, the rankings of positions. Of course, we're going to unpack it all. Hit subscribe, get to my free agency reactions, 2024 draft rankings, and more. Thanks again for watching. Peace out, homies. See you soon.